Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Jeremiah Eisenstein, setting direct city locations and preventing line cycles, to understand and position track communication with systems. We all have to understand the volume and how we set our communications to our lines. How we communicate is how we reiterate lines of our words and phrases and position our levels calculation with setting. Because every time you set a voice and grid line, it's traveling to its set locations. It's different words, different phrasing, different emotion. So every time you're communicating, it's different lines of communication in different ways. You're not sending out the same ways because it's a different word. It's a different frame, different dimension, different space, different location, different anomaly, different travel, right? So you got to get balanced with the mind line, navigation line, stream location of systems. We're in the convergent line now, the cerebral. Now it's going to get more tricky now to the hemisync line settings. So setting direct line conditions and line center interference is position location of the wow. All right. The conditions of the Y line sets position of track communication to its how line. This opens all communication to your settings. It's all recognizing your settings. Faster through set location. Rapid up. Faster. So understand the triangulation read line settings. For example, if you're setting position of track communication to your systems, let's go through anchor points. How do you determine line interference? You have to be 100% in your line communications in your hard generation lines of inner child. Now that's set in position location. Now team's in that setting, but we're in the convergent location here now. Okay, so we understand how this works through cycles and consciousness and volume, velocity, okay, and acceleration and Mach. Speed is crucial, especially when you're communicating. Right, sending out set locations, right? I am this. That comes out. I am this. Each letter is an indication to its own emotional setting that's going in seconds, minutes, and hours, okay, of your 24-hour day, right? Now, and that's at night communication setting. This is where it gets complicated because you're living all timelines all at once, right? The heart has to understand the palpitation. If it understand the palpitation of three-line signature streamline interference, that's 3 million vowels. Vowels and communication lines of volume sets position location heart line interference. Yes, your heart has a position of voice grid. It has its own voice. Everything inside you has its own voice. It has to. You have a voice, so does everything. So does atoms, so does molecules. Everything has its own intelligence. You have to break this all down, understand the communication line centers. So track communication interference, if I set line communication line interference and hold an atom, there's an atom right there. It's rotating, it's circulating, right? You can see it. It's right there. I can see it, right? And it's moving around, right? So it's all about understanding, not just seeing through the naked eye, it's understanding the hologram structure, what you create in set locations, right? And then it just, right? And it, so you break it down in laser line stream. In that direct signal location, that's signal line interference. One on line rotation, you break it up, and they can see the geographic map applications. So it's like particle dust, right? And all of a sudden you see it in different particle streams. And then you see it all calculated to rainbows, right? So if you really bring it up, blow it up, you start to see the hologram. And when you see the hologram, you open it up. And then you see laser grids, you see recognition time sequence. You put matrix line calculation setting, you see code line streams, right? When you're on your phone line in communication setting, laser. Every time you're communicating, right? Oh, do you see the light over my face there? See it turn yellow? Pretty powerful stuff. Indication is extremely important of your awareness of what you're doing through your voice. Everything that you say affects you, everything that you do through emotion. Okay? Inside and out. Your perimeters are inside and out. Everything that you do from inside reflects everything outside. And when I say reflection of the sun, reflections of the moon, that's how you're able to see this. So many communications of the sun, so many communications of the moon, because they're creating higher levels of higher design position location interpretation units. And that's what your avatar is doing, set location of systems. When I woke up to that line interference, I can do right away that sun was the avatar of me. It started making sense. I saw the sun and it opened up the galaxies. Everything around went black, right? And everything was coming at me, coming at me, coming at me, coming at me, and dimensional. You are dimensional beings of light. Now you have to recognize the digital layers. Because that's all you are. Form line, position location, line, send locations. When you're looking at me, you're looking at the outer line, right? This is the outer line. But what you have to understand, light, shades, and shadows is just shaded in. That's all it is, just shade. Okay, so there's no outline. The actual outline, if you bring it in close, when you take a picture of your system, zoom in and you'll see the blue around you. You see the rainbow around you. Then you see the hologram of your set location system. When you touch your body, everything. You think one shoulder to the left, to the right is the same vibration? Nope. Different arm, different arm. Different hand, different hand. Earth, space, right? Each finger has a line calculation. You put in the earth line to the space line. Automatic line settings, magnetic line strip, and direct signal location system. It's infused, all right? So we all understand that every frequency counts. Every finger has an emotional line. That's connected to lines of digital line rotation interference, forks in between, 3-line calculation setting, direct signal, right? Volumes are set location affinity cycles, barcodes, direction of time sequence, flux capacitor, line, shades, and shadows. See that? See how it changes direction? See the light changes lines? See that? See how it changes line communication? Right? So we all have to recognize how to use our hands information location channels. Operation surface location system. So every time I'm communicating line interference. So the direct locations of my hand looks at me. Now I look back. Okay? That's communication. That's power. So we all have to understand everything that I say is in direct signal to its location system. Track communication line settings and all set location of 1 lines of 2 positions. Lines of 3, 4, 5, 7, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is all communication with setting. Line interference comes to all track communications. I don't do anything line interference, it automatically comes in. I don't have to worry about if this is 2 and this is 2. This is 2, it's 2 is 1. Even if it's 2 and 1, it doesn't matter. It's always balanced because I know how to communicate with my whole self inside locations. Right? And again, if I have my glasses like this, it's off center, right? To you, not to me, because it's already fixed. That's space. So we all have to find a way to really understand how to use it in set location lines and interference. Very powerful in positions of timelines, time sequence, times calculations. Now, because you guys are coming in the convergent location of consciousness, you have to really understand how the brain adapts to everything in set location, how it sees things through a cup, how it sees everything through a table, how it sees everything in direct view of set locations. Okay. So it has a power line, set lines of calculation settings into your hieroglyphic location system because everything's connected to the pi setting. All right, so directing line streams, indirect signal. Okay, platoon line interference. So all it is a videograph screen, guys. That's all it is in track communications. It's very powerful when you see these three positions. All right, so this is the screen, and this is you looking at the screen. Okay, that's you looking at the screen. Okay, that's all it is. So in that line position locations, there's the window. Okay, so to see lines is about seeing beyond the space in between. You always look at the center line. So once you understand the center, you always look in this center point. Everything has a center point, like I said. So when you're looking at the center line and center line interference, you automatically put your positions, your force field, your unit fields, and protect your system to its locations. And once you do that line, center line interference, in your set locations, you put your self lines into a tube line. Okay, and once you understand that, this puts its own position track lines and comes out in your set positions operation. So it automatically scans you. Hey, who are you? In set position. Okay. So we all have to start seeing all levels from the other line settings in direct application to our eye perceptions, because that's what it is. Your eyes are always open. So in that line interference, if we close our eyes, check this out. I'm going to do a face recognition time sequence, setting position of track communications. All right, eyes are closed. Okay, eyes are closed. Okay, eyes are closed. Okay, let's get in down core lines, eye position locations. Okay, eyes are closed, right? Now, you look really, really close line, center line interference. Don't focus on this, focus on me. You'll see the eyes open. It's going to go, right? So that's two spectral communication, flux path communication line in set position. So because you're coming into the line settings, you have to understand the frame lines, direct signal location to a system, and travel calculation line, direct signal at high position towards operation. Okay, so it's how can modify in position of shapes, squares, rectangles, high center interference, and travel calculations in any directions. So you're nothing but a hologram. Okay, I understand the holograms, the circulation line rotations, indirect signal, set positions, operations, surface. Now that triangulates high center interference. You have the tube line center, set rotation, position, travels. Okay, directing signals. Wire connect lines of shoulder lines, string lines, wire line rotation, surface, and track communication setting, direct signals applications. So understanding that communication line interference, your face recognition travels in higher positions of operation, right? And then it comes back. If it comes back, it comes back to the sun. Always has to come back to the sun through light. Always through the light first before it gives that location of settings and directions. And that line interference, you have the sun and you have the moon in line position of the travel calculations to its dimensional sail, in lines of a solar sail and track communication to its setting. Okay? So you're always with the set location of the sun and the moon. So I just want you guys to really understand how this all works in high positions, because you're always going to see different levels at different perceptions. The whole idea here is because the convergent line stream is changing the conscious settings. Because you guys are 95 lines, equal line calculation of sectors. Now the sectors are vectors. Sector lines really understand positions to its volume. Okay, so it's 95 equals sectors. Sectors and calculation of lines of the sun, travels line, center line interference, and track communication to its setting. Directing lines of 9 lines in set location of 5 set location setting and high position of travel. 5 lines, set lines of systematic line calculation. So the system to its set location of sectors and its position of travel lines changes to calculation. So you change communication in lines, energy, communications. So it's all about understanding how the brain of the convergence can change channel streams, line settings, and operation surfaces at locations. Graph line streams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's your hologram. Okay. So in that line interference, we can take position locations and line settings and track communication 95 into line communications into a box center, come into higher calculations to a hologram stream. Okay. So what you're doing is you're adding the percentage of pi. Now we got in that line interference. Everything is pi, right? Mass and to and from, longitude and latitude. We already know that through equation, right? So it's all about understanding the calculation setting to position locations. If you're coming back, you're automatically coming back to the light because it's changing the geometric lines of its shape and its program set location setting to higher levels of correlation to high calculations to its system. Okay? So it's a hologram within a hologram. So you can see from in and you can see from without in set location. Okay? All right, so volume streamlines and high center interference of power direction of time sequence puts position of panel lines. Now we take the 95 line settings, tracking lines calculations into all calculations to vectors, volumes, and VAS. Okay. Now the vector line rotations into the VAS, into the volume, sets lines of 3 line rotations in center position, Fibonacci line swirl, recognition of time sequence puts position of power lines. Now direct signal line calculation setting and high center interference, indirect signal. This puts position of your panels lines into your pyramid lines and scan lines into new crop circle line rotation surface into the earth of set location. Okay. Now directing line settings, you really have to understand how to use platitude, and this is where it comes into the inner child line setting in rotation surface. What does an inner child do in line position locations? just plays, and creates and creates and creates and creates and creates and creates and creates. That's all it does, all through creation. Now, directing line centers, the vast volume and position, location, of velocity sets position, locations, center line rotations, calculation alpha lines, rotation surface, monitoring line rotation settings, 0 lines, position of 1 and 5, 5 lines of 4, calculations of 9, okay, line interference. Now we take the 4 lines of 3, set position, location of 7, directing lines of calculations of 5, redirect line centers, 2 panels communications, 2 communications, all levels of space instead of location of time setting. Now it's complicated. So you have to understand how the 5 lines and the 5 stream comes into center position of flux capacitor. Center line rotation, always calculate modify liner. You're always in position, location, Earth, right? So in that center high line rotation, it splits its anomalies in 2 track communications. So there's a pyramid line setting, a rotation of ground lines. This puts up a hieroglyphic location of channel streamlines and high center interference into a frame communication to its setting. See it? Right there. Boom. Boom. All right? So that's set up position locations of underlay. So in that line rotation interference, we set the open lines in a delta wave line rotation surface. Travels its line signatures and position of panels. Okay? Wave and central calculations. Then line interference, we come into theta. We box communication of space and we box communication of time in line setting. Now space line changes provision. That's where times locks its centers. Time, okay, equals equation. Okay, time equals equation. And the equation line sets the calculation setting to the quantum into equal lines of rotation. Surface location of calculation setting. Now, the quantum line center line interference sets line calculation setting. We take the communication to its set lines of ground lines. So we take the waveline central line interference at alpha and communication lines into a position of traction. Downshift line cross. Now, the pyramid line center line is a laser line rotation in center positions of 3 calculation streamlines and set connections. Right? Now, in that direct signal, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we had 1 lines of a 9. So that's 9 positions. That's 9 and position of 5 in center, which is the heart timeline sequence. That puts positions of panels. We bracket the surface line settings in 1 position location mediation ground lines in set location. Now, the center calculation line interference comes into a calculation modified line settings. So we change the optical system. Now we change the open system. We change the frequency panels. Sets line communication triangulations and a reset lines of calculation line settings into a spherical sphere line rotation surface that puts all position track lines in center position of operation. Okay? See the cyclone line setting? Now, if you look really close, you can see the torquil field line rotation, sending direct signals as the location of travels. Now, that line rotation interference, it gets complicated because the same thing is your alpha line communication is on seconds. So we change the second lines in minutes. So that's minutes equals lines of panel. Panel position location of box, equal line calculation triangulation. Masculinity, femininity, set lines high interference. So track communication line, position of track line high interference locations. So that's 4 signature lines of 4 and 3 signature lines of 3. Set location of 4 signature lines of 0 and 3 signature lines of 0. That's 7 across stream. Center direct signal is set location of box line in theta line rotation. Time lines and a heart direction of time square. Center directions, right? Now the matrix stream lines, we color it in the panels. Now we color it in line stream locations into black. The center position locations operational line streams and set location line centers and 4 set locations. Now this indicates lines of 2 panels and line rotation, okay? Now the signal line calculation into a full cycle line calculations in pi erection of time sequence. Now the oracle line streamlines sets weather line rotations, sprinkler line rotations setting direct signals, cross and stream lines and calculation settings into data and electrical line. This is fusion line rotation and center calculation setting and direct signal to a set location system. So I'm setting up a donut and a line rotation. Now the donut sets communication electrical line, high center interference that puts position location to its cod weaving, that modes its system location to its center lines and position location to its brain waving pattern, that sets communication line setting location to its system of its operation surface and set location. Okay? So it's very powerful. How do you set location and setting interference, right? So The convergence line is the 5-line signature streamline. Now that's calculated to alpha line. Now there's a calculation of high interference. We come into theta line rotations, equal line calculations. And we have to come into beta. Beta sets line position of center lines at ground line, the operation surface. So that sets up theta again, and then we go into omega. Then the omega sets line set location of streamline, direct line, center line positions. Then we go back into theta, sets lines that communicate ground lines. So we correlate center line position of 9 and position location 1, 2, 3, and center lines of 2, 0 lines of track communication, puts position location of programs into set calculation settings of 72 computers and line rotations into 4 set location line settings. 1 in track communications puts line position 95 sectors. Now in direct signal line interference, we cross the line rotations and we set up a high position of streamlines into Earth. The rotation surface correlates as high center interference of travel calculation lines of center position. Okay, done by equation. Very complicated stuff. All right. So in that cycle line high interference, the center line rotation center sets position of travels. Now this direct location line high interference looks like a connections to it levels into it's kind of like a musical bowl in line rotation of a sound wave instead of position of travel. Okay. Now, you really have to understand how this all works in signal lines. You have to really understand the correlation setting because you guys are in 95 signature lines. Now, position of track line is 99% lines of 100% locations. That indicates lines and locations. So it's 12 graph lines of consciousness into sublocation line settings. Now, the travel calculation line interference and sublocation team line is now in 3044, leaving 2044 into 3044. Metric stream calculation line setting and direct signal to set location setting and direct signal to triangulation. 2 sets in the lines of 3, 4, 5. Centers of 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Set location of 2, 3, 4. Set line conditions of 1 and 0 line operation. Center point position attraction. Directing signals and high center interference is really to understand how to set position location to a setting and interference location of travel settings. Now, directing panels. Okay, so we all understand how this sets up matrix streamline connection settings and direct location system. So geograph and map, we go on the GPS lines. All right, so that GPS calculation lines into communications into levels, confrontation line stream and confirmation, setting direct signal lines into telepathy line settings. Now the telepathy line wave line interference of teleportation streamlines is correlation sits and high center interference and yin yang of process calculation. So the center line changes communication line centers to center position of operation surface. Sets location setting and high calculation line setting and position location to your atoms. Okay? So the atom line rotates its communication. Communication line setting crosses stream and position location of 3, 4, and 5 set locations. Now that line's high center interference and position location communications indicates equals lines of pi and center positions. So this is power over 7. See the 7? Set position power over 2 over lines of 7, 2-dimensional door lines, streamlines, and communication setting direct signal. Comes in position location of triangulations of pi and direct signal, position of travel lines, and 3 set location of settings and direct signal. Now the travel communication splits in a line setting. Now the split line center line connection splits another line setting. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 panel line set line interference and direct signal. Crosses streams of 12 set line calculation setting streams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 signature streamlines of pi, directing line settings, correlates the line center location and position of its atom. The rotation surface correlates the high calculation setting, how fast you go through measure and set locations. Now, direct signal high interference. The convergent line center sets a rotation spin, and it spins its cycle, setting direct signals and set positions of the operation. Okay, and center calculations. Okay, down by equation, right? So there's a GPS lock signal. Ground lines high interference, equal line calculation setting. 95 equal line calculations of 4 over 3. Sets position of 7. 7 track lines, body of waters, calculation stream location setting. This comes into heavy sync lines of semi-line settings, travel communication setting, and high signature patterns, and high rotation surface, and triangulation line setting, indirect signal, a set location. Okay, done by equation. All right, so that's going to surface out through some line sales. Now coming back and track lines and high frame line rotations in the convergence, we're going to go through coloration path. Now that sets line calculations of security lines. See the red in the center line rotation? directing lines of path. Okay, sprinkler line communication setting and direct signals. Infinity line rotation, sending direct signals and constant communications, and one line center interference and travel calculations. All right, so the signature line stream, we change the coloration again. We have to because it's center calculations. We go in the gold center. The gold center sets lines of Fibonacci line swirl and set position of travel caddy. Now the connection line center line interference, we set up the graph line stream and set location line centers of 6 over 7 over 8 over 9 and 10 over 11 and position location at 12 and line position location system. Travel settings and height calculation setting. Change the coloration again. We go communication of purple lines. The purple line rotates the surface. We set up geographical map line rotation. Travel settings and height interference. Sonar line rotations in one set location setting and direct signal. Color the line, sending line position location of dilation. In line rotation to pi and set location of settings. Okay. Now in that line rotation, we change the coloration to green. Line set location the opposite side line rotations into the north, west, south, and east. Center direct line centers the two panels of left wing and right wing and set location of travel settings. Now, measure on correlation settings of pi calculates streamlines. We change position locations. The north line comes into pink. Now, the pink line sets line calculation heart line that sets a high line interference. Two valves, metrical line communications streamlines and position of travel settings. Now, directing line signature patterns and line rotations, we come into red. Red grounds the center line interference and security. Setting direct center locations is convergent line rotation of center calculation. Okay, that's all set up. Now the signature streamline has an electrical line panel. We come into black surface location line setting. Code weaving line rotations, electrical lines and diffusion. 4 in measure. Okay. Calculation line interference in position of 3 in measure. Calculation line interference of 6 in measure. 3 lines of 4, 5, 6, and line conditions of 7 in green lines of rotation center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 line calculation setting in position of traction. Now, the traction communication line stream has to really identify calculation of earth line rotation center interference. This opens all signals and high center interference to track calculations. Now, the coloration, we change the coloration line stream, sending direct signals. Panel communication lines, stripping down into triangulation reset. See the red lines? Colorate the line rotation. It's got to be in the same order as set location. Same order. Now, direct line center line interference, we change the green lines, recognition of time sequence, center position, to the line calculations and center rotation. Okay, very powerful set position attractions. Okay, everything's got to be in order. All right, so we go through the pink line setting, tracking line calculation center, strip down line rotations into center position. Okay, this is how you set up the earth line rotation. Correlations of minor conscious line stream location of settings. Okay, and then we go into purple. Now, purple is line center infinity, center calculation line. See the strip lines calculation of laser direct center location of rainbow stream locations. Green over pink in position of purple. Okay, so we colorate the line setting. Earth line rotation perception now is set up as a location of your system and driving calculations. Done by equation. So it's amazing how this all connects to your settings inside position attractions, guys. Right? Isn't that incredible how you do this through pi? How you set up the earth line, perception line, stream, and set location of settings, all through set locations to convergent line interference into waving patterns and direct signal, all set through the position attraction. All right, so we go through card webbing. This is a modal line stream. Directing line rotation and direct signals. Now we come in line center interference. Now we set position travels. We go into the gold. Gold goes in the center. But there's a triangulation line center that's a diamond. Okay, there's a diamond in center position. Color it in into the break conversion line center location where it is in measure and center position. Okay, now we signal down in center position. Okay, now in that line centers, we do the same thing, but we do it through a triangulation reset. Okay, to your diamond core, a line rotation to its earth line and set position of operation. Okay, done by equation. So in that line rotation interference, electrical line and wires sets position of 12 lines because that's where you guys in 12 settings. So that starts 12 stargates. Let's say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 set locations. All right, it's all set up. So the signature line interference, we go back to the red because we're setting up the security lines here, perception settings, spot system locations, and parameters of parameters around the point location of a space of its dimension of timelines of time calculation. Okay, done by equation. So their perception is now set at line connections, the convergent line rotations, set position location 95, and position locations. All right, center position locations. Now, two rotors, line rotation interference. We go back on the black line, calculate line interference, into a Fibonacci. Okay, line rotations, center position. See the Fibonacci swirl? Set a position track lines. So this gets complicated. Setting direct signal, crossing signal line rotation. See that? See the cross? So we cross line center line interference. We set up another Fibonacci line rotation in yin and yang, a process line of brain convergent location, setting direct signal. Setting direct signal line interference to travel calculation, setting to another Fibonacci lines of the Earth line rotation surface, and triangulation reset, position program setting, position of operation. Operation line set location of yin and yang. Now the yin and yang of the Earth and the yin and yang position of process, the convergent location setting, and direct signal to your convergent line interference and travel calculation setting in seconds, minutes, and hours, and now set the line connection system and travel calculation. Done by equation. All right, it's all set up. All right, so how's everybody doing? Position location of track lines. Got a little bit of coloration today, eh? Know exactly how this is all converts to your settings and set location your consciousness. Knowing directly how to get in your convergent line streaming and line rotations to your divergence of alliance. Travel calculation setting and direct signal. Danielle, Gypsy, Andy. Let's see, locations, highest interference. Chris, Heather, how you doing? All right, so in that signal, high position track lines, okay? Very powerful set position travels. All right, so that's going to travel out. Gone, but still there. See? So in that line rotations, we set up graph line streams. So there's two box line rotation. Okay, and three set line settings. Okay, 3 lines of 3, 3 lines of 3, 2 panels, stream location setting directions. All right, so 3 measures, 3 correlations to 3 panels. Okay, it gets complicated. Center position location operation of the sun lines a direct signal to its location system, higher calculation. Okay. Now the moon line sets line calculation. This is where it gets complicated. The dimension of the moon has to rotate its surface in triangulation of reset line calculations to its solar sail to know exactly what it's doing through its Earth line rotation surface and a higher calculation of consciousness in one position location with settings into your 12 stargates and set location. Okay, done by equation. All right, so that surface is at line condition setting. So understanding the positions of merge is understanding line calculation when you go into deceleration to acceleration through traffic, right? So in line position of 2 panels, okay, set of position locations, you merge, right, and set location setting, right? So they got 2 panels, line streamlines, and set locations. These are your cars, right? So direct line interference, the subpositions. So calculation left is passing line, and position location right, okay, is normal line. So directing line center line consists of data from fuse boxes, location setting direct signals to your system, triangulation of 3 lines of box lines and 4 lines of 5, and direct location of 6 and 7 in track communication. Okay. Now, understanding acceleration is understanding 6 lines of streamlines. Gets direct location system with a circuit line stream. Directing line, center line interference, and the high calculation setting. It gets complicated, guys, but pay attention and set position. Okay. Now, just watch because it's too confusing for me to explain this to you. One signature line centers high interference as travel lines, center line rotation, center calculation setting, direct signals, and travel calculation setting direction. Now, the direct line center line interference crosses line streams and the line center interference and direct location system, another dimensional door line open through frequency patterns and direct signal and sublocation. Now, in that system, high line rotations, remember, it's a hologram within a hologram. Box lines and high line position of 7 changes line communication of water lines, in sunline rotation surface and triangulation reset and position of programs. Okay, look how powerful that is. Look how powerful that is. Done by equation. Okay. All right. So within a panel, we're going to travel line, streamline. Now in direct signal to set position locations. This is all vertical lines of channels. Okay, alpha line. Now we go signal to stream location setting directions. See the graph line? Right? Across the stream. So understanding when I did the Schumann resonance, setting direct signal, this is what it is in position location. It's all tunnel communication. That's all it is. Okay, that's all it is, right? So each energetic graph has a streamlines and indication lines of space in between, guys. Okay, each graph has a space in between. Metric streamline high interference hides a calculation modification of center and position of space in between. So really understand the alpha lines, the delta theta, position, location, and travel lines, and metric high calculation streamlines and calculation of the center lines and space in between through traction. Okay? Now the energetic graph line streams its locations in position, all lines of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I direct the line set. Crossing line stream. 1, 2, 3. Positions of 4, right? Because the thing is, you're in 5 line signatures of 4. So we bring the set lines of 5 back in line rotations because it's got to go in the center positions. And we bring the 4 line streamlines calculation in the opposite line direct line center and graph line interference. That puts 95 line rotation in position locations into 100% and set calculations to your conscious line stream. Okay? Done by question. All right. So try to understand, this is your Schumann resonance. So in that indication, it's gone. That's still there. All right, so we come back and then lines of frame lines. Now redirect line sends the panel calculations. We come into coloration streams. Now the indication lines of center lines of 0 opens all signal lines at perimeter line rotation, surface, and center location. Okay? So understand the position of track lines and security position locations and panels, high direct signal locations to a system, and all lines of rotation, surface, and triangulation reset position programs. Okay? I like using color because color is really powerful stuff because now we're connecting to the coloration of visual cortex lines, the mystical cortex line setting that's connected to your structure communication, your brain setting. It's very powerful stuff. So that line-to-line interference has a flux capacitor communication, always has a security line rotations. Triangulation line sending high position location to code weaving into code webbing. Rotation setting, indirect signal, and set location. Okay? How it's set up is extremely powerful. Okay? All right, so we go through line graphs, and line graphs comes into silver lines. The silver line sets stream location setting, indirect signal. Okay, setting position location of panels, indirect position location of its operation, and center position. Okay? Now, in that rotation center, we come back into black line rotations. We colorate the line center in center position of operation. Okay? So this comes into calculations high center interference of a cluster cloud communication stream. In that direct center, we come in this line signature, we come in this line signature, we come in this line signature, and we come in this line signature locations. Okay? Now, the mechanism line interference, the convergent locations of pi, has to understand the indication. Now, let's go into the blue lines because it has to go through rotation lines of 12 signature patterns. The signature pattern line rotation sets position location setting. Now, we have a circle lines of blue and center line rotations. This is the blue plasma channel that sets communication setting, indirect signal, the center position location of its operation. That's hot. This is system location of travel lines, inline electrical lines infusion location to its setting, directing line panels, line rotation surface into all calculation setting and your direct signal to its set location system, and all levels of its convergent locations into block centers of its operation. Okay? Very complicated stuff. Right? Done by equation. Right? All right, signature out. Gone, but still there. How are we all doing? Under over channels through dimensions, doors, and set Stargate channel lines. Yeah. It's going to get extremely complicated, guys, because now we're in a higher level setting of conscious stream locations. All right, so let's get back into the black line circle. 1 strip location. 2 center lines. Rotation surface. Really understand your calculations, setting your tone lines and voice recognition of time sequence. Okay? Now, you really have to understand how the convergent lines positions its pi. Pi calculates line settings. So pi recognition of time, pi position locations. So you got space and you got time through pi, right? Direct lines of 0 and position of 1. Okay? So one line calculation setting is 1, one calculation is 0. Cross and stream. Set location of 2, set location of 2. Cross and stream. Set location of 3, set location of 3. Cross and stream. 4 lines, equal lines of 3, center lines is center position. Center position, center position, center position. 2 bracket communication sending direct signal. Okay? Now, you have to understand how to use the pi lines because it changes the triangulation line sets. Okay? changes the triangulation line sets. Okay, changes the triangulation line sets. Gets complicated, changes the triangulation line sets. Okay. Now the graph communication line crosses streamlines. We direct lines to location at 12 line signatures position. The output's cycle, line rotation, center, and a calculation to a system. Triangulation, done by equation. All right. That's set up through pi. Phase recognition line calculations. So the convergence over pi has to understand the lines of measure. Now the two panels line streamline crosses signal. Okay. Position location of point systems and 4-point lines. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 line strings. Okay. And we got a box line center into electrical lines and high center interference in the data port communication. Now, lines, high calculation send, electrical line balls. Looks like a butterfly, right? Because that's what it is. And so center communication line interference is travel calculation line direct signal and set position of travel calculation line settings. Okay? Phoenix. Calculation of the tail line rotation surface. There it is. There's the Phoenix. All right, so directing line signature patterns, guys, you have to really understand how this converts its high center interference of its convulsion. Rotation center lines and position of track communication to Earth is that position of operation. Now the center line rotates its surface into 95 set line calculation setting to 100 line rotation surface line calculation streamlines in set position of operation. Geographical map line and streamlines calculation setting direct signal. Do you see the geographical symbol line rotations to your Earth lines? Do you see how powerful it is through block line rotation? All right, so that coordinates the streamlines and direct signals. And that position of panels correlates the colors. Okay, changes the block line centers in travel communications and 3 set line calculation. All right, now it gets complicated because the block lines are going to higher line position of travel settings and set location. Okay, so it comes back in a signature streamline, higher level setting, crosses stream locations. So it's always saying how many blocks are in center position of operation, right? And again, it gets bigger. So you have to understand the space communication of its setting because this opens all communication your channels through its streamlines and position location to its operation surface and travel calculation to a system. Okay, very complicated stuff. All right, so we go through security and perimeter lines and we set position locations. There it is. Okay. Now that's an open window frame. So there's a 48 line gap. That's it, 48 lines of 72 window. Okay, so the 72 window tracks is 144, directing signals, set location, setting directions. So we panel down into pyramid line reset. 12 calculation streamlines and calculation lines to your pyramid settings. Okay. Now in that direct signal line interference, we use the elixir coming up straight lines and high calculations. 3 line waves and high set location travel settings. Now directing lines and line interference, we set another communication setting in the opposite line rotation, center direct signal, and position of templates. Templates here, and set position, right? Center lines into a tube and line rotation to a system, a cosmic universe line collocation. Very complicated stuff, guys, in track locations. So try to go beyond the line setting to understand position locations. But look at this, look at me. That's how you see it. So it's a hologram within a hologram within a hologram within a hologram within a hologram, okay? So the perception of the convergent lines location has to understand its dimensional door line rotation to a system of its sun and communication of its moon that sets position location to your system that's connecting line send location to your grounds of operation of Earth perceptions, okay? Very powerful stuff, okay? Done my equation. All right, so that's how the perceptions are changing through perspective. And the perspective is everything through calculation, location, settings, and directions, right? So it's calculate and modify through dimensional door lines and 3 settings, right? So coming in that position location comes into all levels of bigger position line calculation, setting, directions. Okay? And then you go into security. You protect it. Okay? See the wall line, see the door. You see how powerful I just did? You see the wall line, see the door? Here is the handles. And there you go. Okay? And so it's really understanding that there's all different ways to create line settings but you have to understand the measure, because the measure correlates the set location line setting of its position of its path and set position of travel. And set position location of travel and set location. Okay, sets position location of travel. Okay, so as the avatar looks at screen lines, there's the avatar, right? It goes in direction. It sees the center position, takes the opportunity, and goes right through, right? So when it goes through to one dimensional door, but there's two panels of communication that it has to go through, which is space in between. And it goes through another space in between, and goes through another space in between, okay? So it's very complicated what a hologram is. So try to understand, going through one dimensional door is a reline setting, which is set position to a system that goes to another dimensional door to another dimensional door, but the center position locations has to understand the travel line signatures and steering location to its right, position of travel calculation setting, and all position to its cosmic universe location. Okay, so you're going in the right directions. There's no right or wrong. But see, if you change the motion line, you're changing the dimensional door of locked signal. So that position of the second line, streamline calculation lines of 3 calculation stream locations, you're going in the opposite directions, which is negative. Okay? So if you go on the negative, you go on a planet's surface in line rotation. This is the planet that locks its signal. Here's the planet, right? So in that set line calculation setting, the avatar is here and it travels to that planet location. Gets confused, right? This is you in position. Oh, where am I? Right? How did it go from here to here to here to here to here? Okay? So we understand how it works through frame. And framing position of travel lines is really directing signal location to your system when you understand all calculation modifications of travel through position of track connections. All right? Track calculation lines and high center interference. This is where you guys have to understand the perspective of everything that you draw and line rotation to a system and travel calculations to its setting. So it's all about understanding the road graph line rotations. So it's very simple. And position location of the walls and calculations to the ceiling and line rotation. Okay, it's very simple. Simple to understand that. But it's the stargates that you have to recognize. All right, through 12 line center position probing locations, because you guys are now at 3,044 now in set locations. So it's a stargate within a stargate within a stargate that you go through in line rotation to its position. Okay? And then you open it up. And then you go through, right? There it is. Now, position line centers is electric lines of walls, 2-panel communication line directions, 2-panel line calculation setting, electrical ceiling line rotation interference and set location. Okay, very powerful stuff. So in that line rotations, you come into this, comes into electrical lines of walls, grounds, and high center interference of track calculation stream locations. It's very complicated stuff, right? But if you understand that, you can understand the frame of its room and how it sets location of center line. So in that line rotation interference, I'm the center of a stargate that's going through all calculations all at once. So, and that's how it sets position location of the system. So I am standing in the center of its operation. This is me. I'll show you. This is me. This is me right here. Okay. Okay, I'm just drawing a frame line. Directing line signatures and high center interference, traffic calculation stream locations. Okay, this is me sitting down in line rotations. Okay, set position. Okay? Very powerful stuff. So it's everything you see through frame from the back, right? So you see me, right? But I'm in the, so the stargate's here and you're going through it, right? So in that direct line center, it takes you this way in set location of travel settings. So it pulls you back, right? So remember, to travel line center interference, you go back, you don't go forward. So back is forward, forward is back. So you have to really understand how this all works. So you get sucked in, you don't go forward, all right? Because that's the opposite of space, because when you're going to the opposite of space, you're going through a galaxy shift line that's a vacuum. So you're going in the opposite location of its black hole to come into the light signature pattern. So you have to go this way and not that way, okay, to travel. Okay? So the signature line streamline comes in this line position location travel settings. Okay, this is me, still here, still sitting in the center lines. but I'm going to all calculations all at once. Time lock, line center, interference, and travel calculations. Okay? That's how you travel through space. Okay? So you get sucked in. And that's the only way it's going to work, because the center position location puts you in this division line settings in travel calculations to its dimension of space and time. Okay? So I don't want anybody to get confused how to really get in line center location of travel. Okay? Because the thing is, you're dealing with the convergent location and settings now. You really have to understand the acceleration. You have to understand the calculations to a system. You have to understand the operational line setting and how it's all in control of your system inside position. But that's knowing exactly how to go through line position. Through its through its room. The room sets all calculations system, right? So it's really interesting where you can vortex back and forth. All right, we'll take this out of the equation. All right, because the thing is, your connections of the brainwave pattern has to understand line calculation of alpha lines, calculation of delta, position location of theta, and line set location of mega set location of setting. Mega cross line, mega in division line, and mega in line is surface. So that's beta equal lines of omega equal lines of telepathy line calculation, communications into teleportation streamlines, back position location of 3 lines of pi, direct lines of travel, and set location of settings. Okay? So you have to really understand how the calculation system of your consciousness goes forward and backwards. Okay? What you were shown was position locations of forward and back. The center position location is back and forth, which is actually forward and back. So don't get that confused line center location at travel settings. So in that line rotation interference, you have to really understand the direct signal location system. So you think you're going this way, but you're actually going this way. So in that center line calculation setting, what do you do? Location system. Everybody see the core? Change your chair. There you go. Navigating, right? So I recommend you guys see the core. If you see the track communication, it's actually at the end, which is the caboose, right? So in navigation, you're in your console, you're in your command center. You turn your chair, you're navigating in the front now. See? That's what's so confused about space. You thought space was going forward until you understand the direct signal location is this way in set locations. This is navigation to the steering, to your consoles of communications. Isn't that powerful? Huh? Yeah. Bet you guys didn't know that, did you? Yeah. So that's what it is. It's a reverberation lines, position of track communications. So in direct signals, it's not this way. It's this way in set position. Right? So this is going forward. See? This is the grounds. And then you go in position location of travel settings. Right? That's how it works. Hooah! So in that line calculation setting, this is convert right here. Okay? And then you start navigating, going forward. Okay? Bet you didn't know that, did you? Right? These are the things you have to understand how to really get into convergent locations through your thoughts. So your thoughts are never going forward. They're always going back. Oh, mega pass on that one, eh? You didn't know that, did you? If you watch the movie Core, then you understand when they were doing a test. And once they get in that provisional location to a system, they turn their chairs and they start navigating, going forward. See? That's the position of track communications. Okay? So that should make a lot of sense to you guys, why you can't go forward in line rotations. Because your navigations are going back, not forward. But once you understand that through provision, then you understand what you're doing. Right? See? Now you come into a higher calculation of consciousness, how to really get into travel. Okay? It's very powerful of what you guys are coming into line signature. All right? Okay? You're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's what it is. That makes a lot of sense. So you're saying that every time I voice line rotation interference, it's going backwards and not forwards in set locations. This is going way beyond, Andy, way beyond the mind of consciousness. Okay? Drink your water. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, that's all it is. Now you understand the importance, right? You thought it was this way. It's not. It's that way. But to understand that way is to understand this. See? See, that's the thing, location to its settings, right? So in that direct signal location system, then you understand the space in between, right? It's more fun when you understand what you're doing with your thoughts to provision location of your cortex, location of your cerebros. No wonder you guys were so confused your set location line settings. Every time your voice or grid location, it was going back and not forward. Ooh, this is going to get you a lot more balance and set position your travel lines. How to see locations to your eye receptor line position locations are right over left. Center position of two line center line rotations and all position locations into calculation to its settings. Right? So understanding one way and understanding another way. Okay? But the direct signal, the navigation system, the center operation line set location is the center operation of view that's going this way in set locations. And then you go up and set location of travel setting. Okay? So you're thinking, what's going on here? You're thinking that, oh my gosh, this whole time the capsule has been at the end. So I've been navigating from the end of the caboose. I haven't been at the beginning of the trailer at set locations of its high calculation setting of its train. No wonder I haven't been navigating my thoughts. Just is going, what? All right, so you know that now. All the convergence is now changed. So this is a little test for you guys to understand that, because now you're going forward to the convergent location to its brain. Isn't that amazing? Aren't you blown away? Are you thinking that, whoa, this is incredible, right? Try to understand the situation. So in that center line communication, high position locations, don't get confused line rotation interference, okay? Please don't get confused lines. This is positions of the back. This is positions of the front. So it's, okay, through your avatar. And that's how your avatar is able to see on the other side. The avatar doesn't see in the front. It sees in the back, but is the front. So try to understand the conversion line set locations of right over left and left over right. So you don't look this way, you look that way. So it's, your eyes are here. They're on the other side. You close your eyes, it's on the other side, which is over here. So in that line, so your face is turned around. Okay, now you understand direct location system to your eye receptor line settings, the importance to a set location to its avatar. Yes, Chris. Yes. Yes. Makes more sense now, especially when you're driving. But remember, the perception line set location, the higher self is this way. The avatar is this way. Now we're all confused. So in that line rotation interference, the position location track lines, try to understand the concept. Okay, so this is the higher self, and this is the avatar. Okay, so in that signature line, you have center positions, triangulation, triangulation. Okay, so you have to understand the avatar does the position location. The higher self doesn't go into higher line settings. The higher self only stays in the position location to its earth of set location line setting. So in line set location, it's the avatar that creates the tunnels and set line calculation setting and direct signal to higher position up to calculation. Multi-pass. That's why you get so confused, because you're looking forward. You should be looking this way through the avatar. When you close your eyes, when you open your eyes, you think you're going this way? No, it's going this way because you're seeing on the other side. There's 3 sides of you. 3 sides. Front, back, and center. You're the center. So if you're the center, you have to understand the higher self and the avatar. What do you think your sun and moon does? Same thing. That's all it does. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. Okay? That's the communication setting and direct signal to its all calculation with modifications. And that's why you guys get confused when you get in position location in your settings through your eye receptor locations and how you see things in provision locations of your space anomalies. Hooah! You're going, what? Because remember, you guys are in the convergence now. You're up here. And you have to understand what's going on, right? That's how it works, right? So when I close my eye line settings, my eyes are open on this side. So the avatar is looking this way. And when I open my eyes, again, my higher self is this way. Ah, see? See the calculation setting, the direct signal set location to a system. See the vision location to a setting and position, operation center. It gets more complicated now because you're higher levels of consciousness. But it's how you see is how you see through perspective location settings, guys. So in that set location line and position to its operation, once you guys connect to your settings, this adaptation of balance, right? But your higher self and avatar together, right? Instead of communication line positions, operation or service, right? In that direct location system, you close your eyes, you're automatically on this side. You're navigating from this side because you're merged into one location, higher self, to your avatar, into one signal. Okay, so you're looking from this side, not this side. The visual line calculation, the physical. The avatar is this way. Remember set location setting. Boom. If you watch the core, you'll see them move their chairs into navigation. Let's go. Right? This is navigation. This is backwards. This is frontwards. Hey, I'm looking through the avatar. Mega pass. Woo! Everybody understand now? You better write it down, right? All right, so how does everybody feel now through their perceptions? All this time, you've been seeing backwards. No wonder you couldn't see. You were seeing the back end of caboose. You weren't seeing the fronts. So it's all about here, coming here, because the sun and the moon come together through rotation, circulation, rotations. And when you get into an atom, right? Right? All together and all in one. Right? See how that works now? You see how that works? So you were thinking when you were closing your eye line, center line interference, you were going this way. No, you're going this way. So in that line, the avatar is facing this way, not this way. And it's very confusing now, isn't it? But it's making more sense now, isn't it? Because remember, you're coming up here now, right? This is the process you have to understand now, how it works. You watch the core, then you understand the calculation navigation. Okay? Hooah. Now, if this is not a powerful class, whoa. Multi-confusion, Gypsy. Yes, my dear. Yep, exactly. In that location, high center, and position of travel calculations with position. So now you guys are in higher levels of convergence of understanding of what you need to do. When you close your line, center line interference, it's going this way, not this way. You never see this way. It's always, when you close your eyes, you're in your dimension. And once you understand that, you're here, and then you start all around. But you start here first, and then you go here, and then you go here. And then you're in circulation, and then you have perceptions everywhere. But you got to start here in the front. Front, side, back. Front, side, back. And then it rotates really fast. And when it rotates really fast, you can see everywhere.
And then you get balanced with your emotional assisted location to the settings.
Woo! Yeah. Now you understand. Now you understand the ports. Right? Front, side, back. And then when it rotates, what does it come into? A figure 8. Right over left, left over right. Right? So the back comes into the side to the front all at once, all at once, all at once. Okay? But the navigation at the beginning is here. What's the calculation here, guys? This is what makes time travel possible. So the thing is, your eyes have been misconstrued, misaligned settings, off in line, rotation, position, location, and perceptions. This whole time. This whole time. You've been seeing backwards. That's it. Done by equation. So obviously you're going to have a lot of questions on Zoom. Okay? Give you guys 5-10 minutes. Adios.